What happens when you suddenly stuck the age cord of 40 or 50 and you realize that this is not the life that you are expecting for? I think every one of us goes through the same cycle. But what is the way forward? The only way forward is to relook and acknowledge these experiences that we have learned. Maybe we have ordinary lives behind, but what we have gained throughout is the extraordinary experiences. So this is the crux of the podcast that I'm coming up, named as the Re-Engineered. And this podcast will focus on the life skills, the extraordinary experiences that we all have learned in our lives. And then we will be using the same thing to realign, reorganize, and relook into them to look forward of having an incredible life in future. So in this podcast, we will be sharing authentic stories of people who have found out their purpose and who have realized that this is the true calling of life and they have re-engineered their profession. And in my case, I'll be also sharing the 40 incredible stories of my own life, which I'll be using in future for re-engineering my own life. And starting with that, I will focus on lesson number 1. The lesson number 1 talks about the circle of R. This is the vicious circle of R that starts with education. Could you remember when we started our education, what is the first thing that we are enforced of? Is to remember. Anywhere, everywhere, wherever we go for education, the first thing that we are taught, starting from our KG1, that remember all the things that you are learning in the school. So that is the first R, remember. Then what do you do the next? We go, we recall that. We recall and we remember, and then we retain it, and finally what we do? We reproduce that in the examination. And then comes the results. So by seeing the results, we are again re-evaluated by our teachers, by our mentors, and especially our family and our older siblings. And finally, what we do of that? We get into regret mode. That why to have this kind of marks when I knew that this is not something which will evaluate my life in future. And after going through all these cycles from remember to regret, and when you reach our maturity level, maybe at 35, 40, depends from different people to people, and then whatever we have remembered, retained, reproduced, and regretted for our entire life, then we relearn. So why to do all such of cycles of regrets when ultimately we are going to relearn whatever we have learned in our life during our education? So this is the lesson number 1. Don't get into the vicious circle of R by remembering to regret. Rather, relearn at every stage and see how you can rework to make an incredible life for yourself and take it to the next level of your lifespan.